salvage is often misinterpreted. And when you see a couple empty chairs, it's like, oh no, nobody wants to talk about salvage until you might need a response. And today we're going to have a simulated incident. And it's also important to separate. Most of you have, if you are operator owner, you have some experience maybe with casualties. An incident or an accident is an initial response to something. A casualty where a salver will come in is what's happened afterwards. How can we do this and how can we mitigate it? So it's a little bit like my principal always says, well, Alexander, if you're hurt, who do you call? You make a notification. You call for help. So if you need an ambulance, you call it. They take you to somebody that can make an assessment of how bad it is. If it's a little cut, yeah, we fix it, we can see it. What if it's something internal, something you cannot figure out by just visually looking at it? You need to have somebody on board, or whatever the incident might be in the hospital, to say, okay, we're going to scan it, we're going to look, we're going to find out what's wrong. And then, of course, you got to have somebody to pay for that, to ensure what comes afterwards. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Different course of event response in a marine salvage. This is bulk carrier, but 300 in overall length. And it's a grounding is in Port Hedland in Australia. I'm going to go through most of this quickly. I know that you have seen a lot of these different scenarios before. I want to focus more on how we assist each other. When you say you make notification, is if it's a notification on board to the master, is it to the DPA, is it through your insurer, and there's a separate checklist and procedure to how you manage that. Each company is different, and so is each incident. So when you say, oh, okay, we've been to that port, well, it's springtime, wintertime, it can be many different variations you have to take into account. And that's why to have a dialogue, communication, understanding between each parties or stakeholder is essential. Most of you have done some training in the past, if it's compliance issues or technical operational, it's the same thing. How do we work together to control this issue? And I'm not going to deal with a case of injuries, worst case scenarios, just a regular grounding, but still what needs to be done and how to do it. And how to do it cheaply. So, as you can see from, there was a stuck in position, there was a rudder incident on the starboard. I can't read it all, but you have it in front of you. And the most of all, as long as there's a safety of crew, safety of vessel, and safety of the environmental impact. So we're not going to focus too much on that, it's not a direct oil spill, and no injuries. So for those who trade in the United States, for instance, it's the 3 Ps, people, property, and pollution. So it's the same issue just outside the U.S. waters. So we can take a lot of that lesson learned in the format and platform under the OPA 90 compliance, and we can use that other places. Doesn't work everywhere, as I said, every incident is different. Nonetheless, the overall shell of that setup we can use, and we can mirror a lot of that type of work. So the activation is the same as making a notification. It's really important that you get not just people on board, but the right people. People understand your concerns of the vessel stability, of the vessel, the safety of the crew, and so on. You need somebody, in our case in the grounding, a salvage master or somebody like that, excuse me, to come aboard and make an assessment. How can we assist you? And of course, you need to get them there as soon as possible. It doesn't mean that the master, he or she, cannot do certain things to control stability or problems on board the ship, but make sure that we get the right people as soon as possible. The Donald Trump, funny name, I don't want to get into politics, like it or not, but in this case, you know, we have an incident, we have a problem. Donald Trump might be the right name of that boat. We get the remote assessment, in this case in Australia. T&T Salvage is a global provider. Obviously, we can't afford to have station equipment all around the world, but we do have network, we have people, qualified people, that will then attend to the issues aboard a vessel before we send our in-house people. In this case, we have a huge outfit in Singapore or in Houston, Texas, where also the head office is. So as you can see, deployment, and then we do until the advanced team. It depends. Not everything is worst case scenario, and for sure not everything needs to be advanced. There's a lot of experience, a lot of qualification in this room. We just need to find the right people to get there on the right time. So in our case, we have salvage assessors activated and based in Perth, but obviously to get up to the location of the vessel still takes maybe 10, 12 hours. We all know this. It's only in the United States where you have under the OPA compliance limitation of how long until you can get aboard a vessel. That is not the same as for salvers. In our case, we need to have a plan, and that plan, well, say bad weather. If it's a crane we can't be there in 1 hour for different reasons, one way or the other. So it's a plan, it's a schedule, how long will it take? So it's an assessment done of when we're going to be at the location. And of course, in this case, we estimated 10, 12 hours, direct flight from Houston, 16. I don't want to get into, I went to this Norwegian Hull Club event, and they were, what about the people, the crew, they're up for the job? Same for us. If you fly 16 hours, I can guarantee you it doesn't matter if you sit on a wing or not to get fresh air. It's tough to go and do your job diligently. So we are also concerned with these elements. So contact immediately. You can see the table here. These are realistic. We've done this a long time. We have responded to a lot of incidents. So the timetable we're trying to adhere to is realistic. But again, it's not written in stone. There are a lot of issues. This is Australia. It's an easy country to deal with. We can go to other places around the world where just to bring in equipment or get a visa to get the right people to come in will, most case, cause some issues and delays, unfortunately. That's just the nature of the business and where we operate. Not always, but a lot of places. So we get our salvage team, the person on right, we get that plan approved under the way. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, the local Coast Guard or authorities will have to approve what we do. Makes perfect sense. We don't work alone, we work in tandem, we bring in the right, and also most areas have qualified people. We depend on that as well for the success of you, meaning the outcome of the owners and operators. It's easy to spend other people's money. I got 3 daughters, they know all about it. That we need more. So it's the same for us. If we want to bring all our resources in and just going on, we need somebody to control that. So obviously, talked a little bit earlier about the safety stability. We have the class come in to be a stability check, safety of the vessel. It's very important for what we're trying to accomplish. To control if there's pollution. The risk of pollution is important as well. It's sometimes these things are overseen. If there's not oil in the water, well, there's no pollution. Well, it takes a little time to figure that out. It can't just look over on a bridge and say, well, I don't see anything. So we want to make sure that all that is under control. The different methodologies to do something. And if you look at option B, if it's lightering, ship to ship, ship to shore, all these needs to be done safely, needs to be approved. So we're trying to come up with different solutions for that. And much like Captain Bull said earlier in his presentation, a lot of the things we've done for many years, it's not outdated, but there are other ways to do it and do it quicker and maybe often better. You can lean on technology, not always, but in a lot of the cases, what we're trying to accomplish, you can do something very quickly and get hopefully an answer to pilot you in a direction that will make all stakeholders happy. So just a little summary here. Something for Hedland, you saw what I talked earlier about getting everything approved. This is a salvage plan creation we talked about. I mean, we do a lot of these different types of jobs around the world. So we have a team ready. We have different formats that enables us to at least get things started. It's not like they sit on a plane for 16 hours, not prepared. It's all work in progress until you get on site, so we know what's happening. And that's when the notification comes back, when I mentioned earlier in my presentation that the information we receive either directly from the master or from the head office for the DPA or whoever's in charge, he or she needs to give us something that we can work with. It doesn't always have to be 100% accurate. It just has to be an overall snapshot of what it is. And often it's, how bad is it? Are we looking at a total loss? In this case, obviously not. It's a grounding. But a lot of the places don't give us enough information where we can successfully prepare ourselves. And that's the worst thing you do. You send people equipment and you don't have enough. Then you get to, it's all about delays then. I'm sorry, I'm pushing the wrong thing here. In this case, it was class ABS, the RAM simulation, and we do proceed with the lightering, the cargo, great reduction of the ground reaction. We have similar tools ourselves that we use in-house. And so how much is this going to cost? Anybody here from the insurance side before I say something? No, it's that. It's obviously if you call T&T, it's going to be very affordable. But no, but so how much? Well, $1 for turning the screw, and of course a lot more if you don't know which way the screw to turn. I came in a little late today, so I didn't have a chance to meet everybody. I left my card out by the table where you sign in. Please, if you have a chance to talk to me after in a break, come over. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.